everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned into How I See It TV, and this is Accurate Context as I wait for a few more people to get in here. As I wait for a few more people to get into the room with me and to enter this live, I just want to say thank you all for your support. Thank you to the people who've continued to watch and support this channel. I truly appreciate it. Please remember to like, share the link to the channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd. Subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. So much is happening in the reality TV landscape, and my thoughts are based on my instinct. It's not based on anything else. It's based on just how I'm reading people and how I'm reading the situations as they're being presented on these shows and as things are being revealed online as well. And I've shared before, and before I get into discussing the actual topics, I'm still waiting for, a couple more people, but whatever. I've shared before that in my mind's eye, when I decided that I was going to do a podcast or have a segment on my YouTube channel called Accurate Context, the idea first started off as a podcast idea. And I was going to do this podcast called Accurate Context because I felt like in the reality TV space, there were too many people who just watched the clips of particular seasons of whatever TV show that we're talking about, and they formed their opinions based on these clips that comes down our social media timelines. And when they form these opinions, what is erased from the conversation is why someone is behaving the way they're behaving in season 5 of the show. That's missing from the conversation because these people, they didn't watch season 1, they didn't watch season 2, they didn't watch season 3 or season 4. And so I said there needs to be a YouTube series or something where someone dives into all the nuances, all the nuances. And for me, that started in season 5 of The Real Housewives of Potomac because I felt like what Monique did to Candace was unfair based on Monique's behavior from season 3 and 4 of the show, not season 5. And so people who only started watching The Real Housewives of Potomac because this altercation happened, and they're listening to everybody else who says, oh, Candace was running her mouth and so she deserved to be popped. And I'm like, see, these are the things that I don't like. Because the truth is, Candace came into the show season 3 and she had Monique's back. When all these women were ripping into Monique and calling her a drunk, and Ashley was alluding to Monique's car accident and her being a drunk being the reason why she had a miscarriage, and when Ashley and all the other women were ripping into Karen for moving to Great Falls when Karen's parents were sick, they had Alzheimer's, and they were sick, they were dying. And so Karen was going back and forth to Virginia to take care of her parents. And all these women knew that. But when the cameras started rolling, they came to the show and acted as if, oh, Karen is just so broken. That's why she's not living in Potomac. And Ashley was talking about how Ray's dangling was shriveled up and how Karen was cheating on him. And Candace was the only one on that cast who had Monique's back and had Karen's back. And then we got to season 4. We got to season 4, and Monique decided that she was going to flip the script on Candace and didn't tell Candace that, look, me and Ashley are cool now. So I want you and Ashley to be cool, and I am going to, I forgot the word that I was going to use, and it's right in the top of my brain. I'm going to use the word orchestrate. I'm going to orchestrate a meetings of the mind so you and Ashley can get to a better place. Because remember, in season 3 of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Candace was introduced to us through Ashley. Candace and Ashley were cool until Candace had a mind of her own and decided that what Ashley was doing to Monique and Karen Huger was wrong and was standing up for them. And so that created a rift in Candace and Ashley's friendship. So how does Monique now go and you befriend the woman who was doing all these things to you season 3, and you don't tell the girl who lost her friendship with Ashley because she was defending you? And you're sharing text messages between you and Candace with Ashley, and the women are coming at Candace and you're not defending her, and you're walking up on her and you're threatening her. And then we get to season 5, and Candace is trying not to get into it with anybody. She's walking away at every turn. She's apologizing. But you want her to fight and argue. And she's not giving you that moment. But Candace got tired at that barn, and she decided to engage for the first time that season. And because all the other women were laughing at Monique, she decided that she was embarrassed and got angry and decided to put hands on Candace. Monique was two-faced and chose the wrong side. Because the second Giselle figured out a way to isolate Monique and ice her off the show, that's what Giselle did. But see, if 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 Monique had stayed loyal to Candace and had put her energy where it was supposed to go, and that was towards Giselle, then what happened in season 5 wouldn't have happened. But Monique wanted to be liked. She didn't want a real friend. She wanted to be a part of the popular crew, and the popular crew didn't like her. So the second she put pause on Candace, the popular girl said, oh my God, we didn't even really want her to be a part of the group. We don't like her and we don't like Candace. But guess what? Candace didn't do anything to get her off for us to kick her off the show right now. But Monique just did. So let's kick her off instead. Because the plan was, let's ice Candace out. But since Monique wants to be a street fighter, let's ice her out instead. And then everybody jumped on Team Candace and became Team Candace to get Monique off the show. See how life works? Because you never win when you play dirty. And I'm saying all of that to say, hey, Ebony girl, I'm saying all of that to say this, that I read people well on these reality TV shows. I follow the story not just on the show, but I follow what they're saying on Twitter. I follow what they're saying on Instagram. And now we have TikTok. So I'm following what they're saying over there on TikTok too. And I'm putting all the pieces together and I'm coming up with my own analysis. Just like when Candace was doing the live and someone said to her, hey, Monique said that there was a plot to talk about her child's paternity. And the narrative became Candace was the one who brought up the word plot. When the truth was, Monique had did a live the previous night with her friend, and she said the word plot. And someone came to Candace's live following Monique's live and asked Candace about what Monique said. Candace wasn't the one who used the word plot. Monique used the word plot. And all Candace did was answer a question based on what Monique said. But the narrative became, oh, Candace said that there was a plot. No, Monique said that there was a plot. But for the people who weren't following everything that was happening and you already picked a side, you believed everything that Monique said and you stopped listening when Candace tried to explain her side of the story. I never stopped listening when Candace was trying to explain her side of the story. And when everything finally aired, I was Team Candace, and I'm still Team Candace to this day. So again, I'm saying all of that to say that I'm going off of my instincts. The same thing with Candy Burris. I don't like Candy Burris, the reality TV star, because I feel like she's one of those people who truly throw rocks and hides her hands. And let me tell you one example of that. There was one season when Nene Leakes was trying to make amends with everybody. And she sat and she talked with Candy. And that entire season, Candy and Nene were fine. There was no beef. They were kiki they were laughing. But every single time Candy went to the confessionals, all she did was just have negative things to say about Nene. And I thought, how nasty is that? Because if in the moment you're filming the scene, you felt the way that you did, then why act like you're on her side? That's given two-faced. One example of that was Nene had this jungle party and Candy was invited and she showed up. And the entire time she's sitting there and she's smiling and she's talking to everybody and she's having a good time. But then she runs to the confessionals when it's time to do confessionals and talk mad shit about Nene and this event and the people that Nene invited. And I just felt like, how disgusting. I don't like people like that. They smile in your face, but then behind your back, they talk all kinds of just bad things about you. I don't like people like that. And that's one of the reasons I just didn't see it for Candy. Also, in the way that she treated her friendship with Phaedra when Phaedra was going through what she was going through with Apollo. And Candy felt like, I didn't choose Apollo's side. Yeah, you did. Because if you're a girl's girl and your friend is going through a divorce, you don't invite Apollo and his mistress or girlfriend, because I guess they were separated so he can do whatever he wants to do. But you don't invite him and his new person to an event that you know that your girl who's your friend is going to be at. See, people forget that those things happened during season 9, and that's why Phaedra got so mad and just started spewing out lies about Candy. Because, girl, you don't have my back. I'm just gonna do you dirty in the same way I feel like you're doing me dirty. And this is how I read the people on reality TV. I feel like you have a nasty energy. I just don't like you. I just don't believe the things that you're saying when I compare them to things that you've said in the past. And that's where I'm at with the Chantel and Jackie thing. I am not trying to, hi, Miss Linda. I'm not trying to invalidate Chantel's experience from her childhood, but my instincts tell me that Chantel is a little bit of a liar. That's what my instincts tell me. That she lies. And maybe that's something that she learned from childhood because she was the favorite and her sister Takari was not. And Chantal probably learned from childhood that if she tells a little white lie on her sister Takari because her mom had some issues, whatever it was, with her big sister, she could get her big sister in trouble. And there are kids like that. When they realize that they can get away with bloody murder, they start getting their siblings in trouble. And they sit back and they laugh at how easy it was for their parents to believe the lie. I hope y'all are following me. Thank you, Auntie Linda. Y- Y'all know those types of children? I work with kids all day long. I know those kinds of children who are pathological liars. And it's not because they've gone through anything in their childhood that was negative. That's just who they are. That's just how their brain is wired. That's just how their brain is wired. That's the chemistry of their brain. They just get up and they just lie for no reason. And they take joy in hurting people with their lies. And if they lied one time and they got away with it, they just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And when they realize that, oh, I'm the favorite child, I'm going to keep getting the not favorite child in trouble because my parents are going to believe whatever I say. And that's the energy that Chantel gives off. My instincts tell me that yes, Chantel might have gone through a period where her and her mom butt heads a lot. Because many of us, when we get to the age of adolescence, and when we get to those teen years, hey Toot, when we get to those teen years, we start to go through it with our parents. That happened to me, and I'm sure that happened to a lot of other people. And my parents were Jamaicans. I was raised by my grandmother and my aunts. And I had at the time like two uncles in the house until one migrated. And then it was my uncle and then his baby mama. And that was the dynamics of my household, right? And me and my auntie, we butt heads because I felt like I was grown. Like let's keep it real. And this is one of the things that I feel is missing from the conversation. People are not talking about the reality of raising teen daughters. Was Jackie the best? Perhaps not. Did she have the tools to raise teenage daughters? No, because Jackie was dropped off at foster care by her own mama at 8 years old and was raised by a white lady who was racist and didn't want Jackie in that house. She was abused by them people. Read Jackie's story. She has a book about her life. She talked about her childhood on the show in therapy because Jackie has been in therapy. But if you're not watching Basketball Wives, you're not actually a fan of the show, then you miss certain nuances that exist since season one. I stopped watching the show only after how they did OG. That's when I stopped watching. And they kind of took a break anyways after that. They took a long break after that. And then when they came back, I didn't really care for the show. And that was like just one season ago when Jaceel and those girls were on there. So that's literally like one season ago. So yeah, I've been watching Basketball Wives. I understand the nuances of the show. And what I've seen is Chantel and her mom being in a good space for all the seasons that Chantel has been coming on the show. And the only time that Chantel has ever made mention of having any issues with her mom was season 2. When Takari and Chantel went to that family therapy session with Jackie and they were talking through some of their childhood stuff with their mom. And all Chantel said, Takari was going deep. And Takari was talking about how she always felt intimidated by her mom and how she always felt like her mom didn't like her and how she always felt like she wasn't good enough for her mom and how the only person that really made her feel good enough was her grandmother. See, Takari was going deep. And all Chantel said was, when Takari was sharing her truth, Chantel interjected as Jackie was trying to console Takari and was trying to explain to Takari her reasoning for doing certain things when they were children. Chantel hops into the conversation and said, well, see, mom, that's what we're talking about. You felt like because you gave us all the things financially and what Chantel said is, mom, I get it. I get it now that I'm an adult, that you were on the road and you were making things happen and you were trying to provide for us. But what good, these are Chantel's words, what good is the roof over our head or the bed that we're sleeping in if you're not there to tuck us in at night? And that is why we have the relationship that we have with our grandmother and not with you. That was Chantel's issue. And Jackie apologized to her daughters. She apologized for not being present, for not being the best mom. And what Chantel's reaction to that was, she didn't feel like her mom's apology was genuine. And of course, that kind of pissed Jackie off because she's like, when I'm here sitting and I'm pouring my heart out and I'm being as transparent as I can be, doing the best that I can with the tools that I have, and you're saying to me that I'm not being genuine, that hurts. These were the conversations they were having in season 2. In season 2. And then, of course, the thing happened in about, I think, season 6 of the show when Jackie's eldest daughter, her son, got hurt. And Evelyn was coming back to Basketball Wives. Because remember, Evelyn left and she went off and she, did Iyanla Fix My Life. And she left Basketball Wives saying, oh, Basketball Wives is so toxic and I just want a change and I don't want to do that show anymore. And I'm on a new path. And they gave her a reality TV show over there called Living Lazada, right? And on Living Lazada, we found out that Evelyn and her daughter's relationship isn't so good. But you see, when people don't follow the story beyond what they're watching on one show, you don't know this kind of information. On Living Lazada, Evelyn's daughter in the confessionals explained that her mama chooses men over her. The clip is up on YouTube. Y'all can go watch it. Evelyn's daughter asked her, why didn't it matter to you that I didn't like Chad? That I didn't like my stepfather? Why did it not matter to you? Why did my voice not matter when I vocalized that I didn't like that man? And you know what Evelyn said to her? Evelyn basically said, girl, when you're in a relationship, you're not caring about what people on the outside of the relationship has to say. Shanice was crying to her mom about a relationship that she entered into with an old man when she was 18. That girl said, I just turned 18 when I met this man. And at that point, she had been with this guy now for 3 years because she was, what, 21? And I'm like, this girl is wounded. Because at 18, you should not be in a relationship with no old man crying to your mom because he lives overseas, and when he comes into town, you feel suffocated because you want to do your own thing. Yeah, girl, you do want to do your own thing because you are still a baby. We're forgetting that one of Evelyn's ex-friends told us that she would leave Shanice in the house when Shanice was a teenager so that she could go trolloping about trying to find men. That Shanice was basically raising herself. So I don't know why Evelyn is chiming in at every turn talking about Jackie's motherhood when, girl, your motherhood is up for question because your daughter just had a baby by a whole predator. A whole predator. Don't forget, the game was sued by a contestant, a former contestant that was on his dating show for sexual assault. And she won. And he still got to pay that girl for her trauma. And not only is he a predator, because remember, he was with India Love when she was a baby. India was what? Not India Love, or maybe it is India Love. I remember her last name. But she was like 18, 19, and this old man was in a park fondling her under a blanket, and the paparazzi caught it. And not only is he a predator, but he was in a relationship with one of Evelyn's friends. So you're not going to tell me that Evelyn's daughter doesn't have some trauma if she's looking at the game and saying, that's where I need to be. That's who I need to go and have a baby by. Brandy can't talk about anybody's motherhood or anybody's mothering when your sons are sitting down watching you being okay with being a man who told the world that he's had relationships with over 200 women in the course of your marriage. And you are still with that man. Like, I can understand he cheated on you One or two or three times, he carried on some years long affair with some mistress that caused havoc in your life. But baby, 200 women that he was pushing his dangling in over the entire course of your marriage while you were going through cancer, and your sons are watching that. And they are thinking to themselves, my mom was okay with that. So it's either going to go two ways for Brandy's sons. It's either they're going to say to themselves, I am not going to put a woman through the things that my mama went through, which is still sad because your kids shouldn't have to think like that. Or they're going to be putting women through the things that their mom went through because their mom never showed them that that kind of behavior is unacceptable. And no woman should sit around in a relationship with any man that's been out here while you're married, while you're going through cancer, putting his dangling in over 200 women. So all these women have their own toxic family dynamic situation that they need to go figure out. We spent an entire season of Basketball Wives talking about Jackie's family dynamics. We don't know a thing about Denise. We don't know what's going on in Brandy's life. We don't know a thing that's going on in Evelyn's life. Like, let's really think about it. What's going on in Evelyn's life? What is Evelyn's personal story? What is Brandy's personal story? What is Denise's personal story? What is Brittany Renner's, or well, at least we can say Brittany Renner's personal story is her fake Islam journey. I was listening to another content creator and they pointed out that at the beginning of the season, Evelyn and Jennifer, they were at odds. And they haven't really had a conversation the entire season, but everybody's in Jackie's business. And y'all got your own mommy issues that y'all need to go figure out. Y'all should have been sitting quietly, like, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in this lady's business with her daughter. But what I'm going to do, if I'm going to say anything, is try to de escalate the situation. You can listen to Chantel's side of the story, and then you can go to Jackie and you say, listen, you should sit down with your daughter one on one and be open to hearing what she has to say. But every time they go to talk to Jackie, it's an attack. And it's the same for Chantel. If you want healing and you want somebody to hear you, you have to create the space where that person is willing to listen. So if your mother comes around the corner because you requested that one on one with her and she says, you look pretty, it takes nothing to say thank you. You look nice too. It takes nothing to say, Mom, we haven't had the best relationship while I was growing up. And the things that I'm about to say, I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you. I don't want you to feel like I'm coming for you. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to hurt you. I am just trying to share with you how I felt throughout the years. But that's not how Chantel was addressing her mom. Your mom walks up and you got the stinkest face. Your body language says, I don't like this lady and I want her to know it. Your words say, I'm trying to cut you as deep as I can because I felt like when I was a kid, you cut me as deep as you could. So you're not yet healed. You obviously, Chantel has obviously not spoken to any professional about any of the things that she's felt towards her mom. And what she felt was like, okay, I'm gonna come on this show, and if things pop off between me and my mom, it's gonna be straight revenge for all the things that I felt like she did to me when I was 15, 16 years old. Come on, that's dumb. And I don't care what anybody says, that is dumb. I was listening to TD Jakes' daughter earlier today. I saw a post, and she says that she doesn't speak publicly on anything that she hasn't healed from. And I feel like that makes absolute sense. If you're going to share your story as it relates to your trauma, it should come from a healed place. It should be more about educating and not taking revenge. It should be about enlightening the people around you who did the things to you or who facilitated the things happening to you, didn't protect you. But it shouldn't be about exacting revenge. Because if you want revenge, it means that you're really not healed. People who are healed don't want revenge. They want to be heard, but they don't want to be vengeful. And my instincts say to me that Chantel has mixed in a little bit of lies, a lot of lies with some truths. It's valid to say that when you were 15, 16, you felt like your mama was a bully. That's your version of the story. Whereas your mom's version of the story could be when you got to 15, 16, you started to smell yourself and you started to feel like you were a woman in her house. And when she talked to you, you were slamming doors and stomping feet and talking back. And she had to drape you up a couple of times and tell you about yourself. And she probably had to backhand you a couple of times because you were trying to disrespect her in her home as a 15, 16-year old. And because she is a Black mother who was raised in the 70s in foster care by people who were abusing her, she doesn't have the tools to deal with a rebellious teenage daughter because all she was ever taught was how to smack a child around if they get disrespectful. And she's not looking at it as this is abuse or this is bullying. She's looking at it as I'm disciplining this rebellious teenager. Now, if you came to your mom now as an adult and you said, Mom, when I was a teen and I was rebellious in the house and I was talking back and I was stomping my feet and slamming doors and coming at you like I was the one paying the bills in the house and you would backhand me and you would talk to me all kind of crazy. As an adult, I'm realizing, Mom, that that wasn't okay. And that there was a better way that you could have dealt with me as I was going through my rebellious years. But you see, Chantel can't approach the situation with her mom like that because Chantel doesn't have the tools to deal with conflict or to resolve them. Let's not act like we don't know some teenage girls growing up in the house with their mom and they get to 16 and they get to 17 and they start to feel like they can do whatever they want. Oh, I'm 16 and I have a boyfriend and he can be in my mama's house when she's not here. And if my mom comes and says, get this my effing boy out my house, don't bring no boys up in my house, and you start to talk back like, Mama, I'm grown. And she starts to tell you about yourself. Like, let's not pretend that this isn't the reality of some women out here raising teenage daughters. I used to stomp and screw up my face and speak under my breath for little things. I used to feel like my grandmother just finished cooking dinner and tells me that I need to go wash up the dishes, and I used to feel like, why do I need to wash up the dishes? And now as an adult, I'm like, that was disrespectful. Why are you angry that your grandmama is asking you to help her clean up the kitchen after she then slaved over a stove, making sure that you had a hot meal when you got home from school? Why are you so angry that as a 15, 16-year old, your aunt is not going to let you go down to Ocho Rios to hang out with no little boyfriend? Why are you so angry that when you break the rules, having your little boyfriend calling you at unholy hours of the night and sending certain text messages that you weren't supposed to be sending at your age, and your parents take your cell phone from you? Now you want to stomp and slam the door and shoot up your mouth and come in the house and act like you're not going to speak to the adults that you're walking by. And when they call you out for it, now all of a sudden, oh, when I was a child, they used to bully me. No, you were disrespectful. And your parents did what they thought was the right thing to do in terms of disciplining you. Because the only tools they had at the time was cussing you out or beating your ass. Nobody was teaching them that there was a better way to parent. Let's stop acting like that's not the reality. Let's stop acting like that's not the reality of raising daughters and sons. You got parents out here, their sons get to a certain age and they can't even talk to their sons anymore. Single mothers whose sons want to be in the house acting like they want to fight their mama. And if they try to buck up on their mama and she decides that she's gonna knock them out, now as adults they're gonna be like, yeah, my mama used to abuse me. She used to put hands on me. She used to hit me with brooms and throw this and that at me. But y'all not telling the other side of the story. Whereas now you're 16 and there's a little bass in your voice and you're taller than your mama and she's trying to redirect your bad behavior. She's trying to tell you that you can't come up in her house anytime, at all hours of the night, because you're not grown. And now you want to talk to her any kind of way because you feel like, oh, because I'm 16 and I'm 17 and I'm thick and my voice is deep, that I'm a man. And she has to show you, wrong or right, she has to show you that you're not grown. So, okay, you want to buck up on me, and you want to raise your voice at me, then you're not coming up in my house. You want to think you're grown, then go be grown outside, sir. You want to think that your friends have your best interest at heart. You're on the corner with them at all hours of the night, not understanding that you are a black boy in America, and that you might feel like you're just on the corner sitting and talking with your friends and having a good time. But when some cops roll up, they're thinking that y'all are out there being dope boys. And you don't want to listen to your mom because, again, you feel like you're grown. So when she puts you out because you're not listening to her, now as an adult, you're walking around telling people like, yeah, when I was 16, my mom put me out and that was toxic. And that was toxic parenting. No, she was a single black mama in America trying to raise a teenage boy who wasn't listening to her. That was the reality. So when I say Chantel is mixing in a little bit of truth with a lot of lies, this is what I mean. Because when you're not telling the whole story, you're painting a narrative that makes your parents look like the worst things ever. And there's no context because you're not adding into the story what your behavior was as a 15-year-old or as a 16-year-old. You're not telling people that you're disrespectful. You're not telling people that at 16 you felt like you could be out with friends until 11, 12 a.m. in the morning. And because your mama is out on the road with your dad, when she comes back and she's getting the rundown from your grandmother about how flippant you are, about how disrespectful you are, and your mama don't know what to do but to cuss you out and gather you in your chest by your shirt, now that becomes the bullying. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to keep it real. Let's keep it real. Let's stop acting like all this gentle parenting stuff. uh, it's something that we've been learning now for like the past maybe 5, 6 years. But the reality of most black homes is parents being overworked, a lot of single mothers, children being left up to do whatever they want to do because the parents are pretty much always at work. And then when it comes to a point where the parents are realizing that my child is out here just running amok, it becomes too late. And the only option that they have is to beat them or curse them out in an effort to try to save them. That's the reality of the black household. And yes, there's a lot of abuse as well. That is real. And I do believe that there was a lot of mental AB in the Christie household. I do believe it. But I think that for this season of Basketball Wives, Chantel decided that she was going to mix in Takari's story, Takari's truth. She was going to take some of Takari's truth and she was going to add it to her story to make her story sound a lot worse than it is. And that's what my instincts is telling me. For example, when Chantel says, A part of her trauma is her mom talking about her size. I said, "You're lying." That's Takari's story. And you're making it your story. And people say, don't invalidate her. No, that girl's lying. Because Takari's story is that Chantal was the model. She was the one that Jackie was pushing in the modeling industry. Because Jackie was a model. She started modeling at 13. And what Takari claims and what Chantal claimed in season 2 when she was talking to Laura Gavon was that her sister had weight issues and her mom didn't like that. So her mom had Takari running on the treadmill and was telling Chantel to watch her and to make sure that she was running for the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes or however long Jackie wanted her running for. Now, Chantel, if you too had issues with your mom relating to your weight and things that she was saying about your weight, when you sat down with Laura Gavon, you would have said that. You would have said that. When Takari was pouring her heart out in the family therapy session, and was talking about all the insecurities that she felt because of her mom, you should have chimed in and said, yeah, and I felt those insecurities too. Because you used to talk about my weight. But the truth is, Chantel, Jackie never talked about your weight because you were always a skinny chick. Jackie poured everything into Chantel. Let's talk about it. At 15, she helped Chantel write her first book. Mm, let's talk about it. At 15 years old, Jackie helped Chantel to write her first book. She became an author at 15, y'all, because her mom helped her do it. Chantel was modeling since she was a child. And then in adulthood, she wanted to do an album. She wanted to pursue music. And you know who helped her produce her first album? Her mama. So when I say my instincts tell me that Chantel is using parts of Takari's story to justify her behavior this season, that's what I mean. And nobody's going to tell me different. Yes, let's not invalidate somebody who's talking about their childhood trauma, but also let's clock when somebody is a liar. Let's also clock when somebody is a liar. And my instincts are telling me, and I'm going to stand on it, that this girl, she came into the season, her and her mom were fine. She literally moved into her mom's building. Let's come on, y'all. She left Arizona because the judge wasn't allowing her to move her daughter, her eldest daughter, and I'm talking about Chantel. Chantel had to move back to LA. Part of the reason she had to move back to LA was because the judge wasn't signing off on her moving her eldest daughter permanently to Arizona. She was in a whole custody battle with her ex. And her parents were helping her to fight in this custody battle. And one of the things that she had to do, one of the things Chantel had to do, she had to prove to the judge that she had income to support her child in Arizona. She didn't have income. Here comes Jackie. Come to Basketball Wives for this season. Be a full time cast member so you can get more money. And then this will prove to the judge that you have income. Moving to my building, Chantel, I'll pay for it. Which is why when the season 12 of Basketball Wives started, Jackie and Chantel were in a great place. Because for as long as she can use her mom and she can get what she wants from her mom, everything is good. But then you want to call somebody a narcissist. So I'm saying, Chantel, you're putting a lot of lies, mixing in some truths with a lot of lies. And you're taking parts of your sister's story and you're adding it to yours to make your story sound worse or just as bad. And that's the unfair thing. Because we watched you early in the season. For the people who weren't watching the season, if you go and you watch episode 1, episode 2, Jackie and Chantel were fine. They were laughing, they were talking, they were keying. Jackie even went to a photo shoot with Chantel and her grandson. And Jackie was being overbearing and annoying, and caused Chantel to be a little bit annoyed. But that was it. Chantel didn't start having an issue with her mom this season until they got to Vegas. And Brandy called her a child. And because Jackie didn't jump over the table and snap Brandy's neck, Brittany Renner got into Chantel's ear and said, "Girl, your mom not defending you." But what Chantel didn't tell the people was, I told my mom to stay out of mine and Brandy's issues. That I am a whole adult woman who pushed a baby out of my coochie, and I don't need her to fight my battles for me. See, this is why I say Chantel is a liar and she's a little bit manipulative. Because when Brittany Renner was in her ear saying, "Girl, your mom don't love you. She didn't even have your back. Brandy just disrespected you and your mom didn't say anything." Chantel, if you weren't easily manipulated and if you weren't impressionable, you'd have told Brittany, "Girl, shut up. You sat there and you heard my mom tell Brandy that I'm not a child and she shouldn't address me as such and she should call me by my name. And that even if we are having an issues, we can still keep it respectful by not calling each other out our names." You sat and you heard my mom say that. What did you want her to do? Jump over the table and fight Brandy because Brandy said stay in a child's place? But no, Chantel, that's not what you did. You sat there and you soaked up everything that Brittany Renner was telling you, everything that she was projecting onto you because she has her own mama traumas. And it made you angry because now you started to feel like, yeah, my mama should have done more to defend me. But the truth is, you should have also told Brittany, my mom had already asked me prior. The first time me and Brandy got into it, my mom asked me if I wanted her to get involved, if I wanted her to say anything to Brandy. And I told my mom that I'm a grown woman and I didn't need her to fight my battles. That's what Chantel should have been telling the people at that table when they were trying to say, "Jackie didn't defend you. Jackie didn't defend you." No, the truth is, I set a boundary with my mom and I told her I'm an adult and I didn't need her fighting my battles. But because Chantel is a little bit dishonest and she's also an attention seeker, she decided that she was going to soak up all the doting that these women were doing and all the support that she was getting. And so rather than be honest about what she told her mom, she decided to paint the picture or to go along with the narrative that her mom just didn't have her back. And in Vegas, when Jackie clocked Britney as a phony, cosplaying as an Islam, playing up in those people's hijab, everybody clutched their pearls. And Chantel decided that my mom is just a foul individual because how dare she talk about Britney's hijab. But guess what everybody's doing now? Everybody is clocking Britney as a phony now. But when Jackie did it in defense of herself, when Jackie did it defending herself because Britney was being disrespectful to her, everybody clutched their pearls. But now Evelyn is screaming at the top of her lungs that Britney is a phony Islam or Muslim. Brandy in the last episode was saying the same thing. And now we all see that Britney's Islam journey was just for show, was just for a man who divorced her within a month of marrying her. And now the hijab is gone. Now she's dressing half naked again. But Chantel made her mom talking about Britney's hijab the catalyst for all the foolishness that transpired throughout the season. And you're going to sit and say to those people, you know, one of the issues I have with my mom is I remember when I didn't clean my room, she said, you better go clean your room or your dad's going to come kick you down the stairs. Now, did Jackie say that? Probably. But girl, that wasn't a great example. I'm sorry. That just was not a great example. Of all the things that you could have probably had in your arsenal to say, that was not the best example. Okay, a black mother threatening you with your daddy because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Because girl, why your room not cleaned? Why your mama gotta threaten you for you to clean your room? Like, let's talk about that. Because I would have been that friend, like, girl, so you were one of them kids that felt like you shouldn't clean your room. And if your parents said something to you, now it's a problem. And now that makes your parents toxic because they literally had to threaten you and put the fear of God in you for you to clean your nasty room. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. And I get it, being raised on fear. Is it toxic? I don't know. Maybe that's something that I gotta go unpack. But the fear of God literally was put in me as a child. I was raised in a Christian household. Every lie, every disrespect was met with, you probably gonna go to hell. I'm just saying. It was met with a God don't like ugly and he not too fond of cute. I'm just saying. It probably was all toxic, but our parents, I don't think they knew any better. Majority of us were literally raised on fear. Like, it's the truth. Like, we need to be for real. Many of us were probably just like Chantel, being raised on fear. Everything was a threat. And if our parents figured out the thing that we love the most, that was the thing that they used to keep us in line. I don't know if it was wrong or right. I honestly don't know if it was wrong or right. They were just using the tools that were available to them. So, okay, you had a little phone and you love that phone because that's how you're gonna keep in touch with your friends and your little boyfriend that you're not supposed to have. Then everything was a threat of, I'm gonna take that phone. If a field trip was coming up, if a birthday party was coming up, you better stay on your P's and Q's. You better keep yourself in line and in check because everything was, oh, you want to be disrespectful? You might not go to that party next week. Your dad is the strict one. Your dad is the disciplinarian. Of course, if you're in a two-parent household, everything is going to be wait till your daddy gets home. Come on, we all watch Everybody Hates Chris. If your dad was who you respected and he was the only one that could keep you in line, then yes, your mama was gonna say, wait till your daddy comes home. You want to disrespect me? I'm telling you to go clean your room and you want to give me attitude? Then, yeah, let's see what's going to happen if your dad comes home and that room's not clean. And if your dad is who you respect, when your mama said that, then absolutely you're going to get up and go clean your room because you don't want your daddy to come home and see that room untidy after your mama done told you 10, 20 times to go clean it. But now that becomes, yeah, when she would say that, now I'm realizing as an adult that that was toxic parenting. Girl, shut up. Were there probably other things? Well, you don't have to tell me about the other things. But I've watched Chantel on the red carpet with her mom. I've watched her cry when Doug surprised Jackie in Portugal with a vow renewal ceremony, and Jackie was shocked out of her mind because she didn't know that Doug was coming. I've watched them be good for seasons. 20, was it 2017, 2018? No, 2018, Chantel was living with her parents. When she had her first child, she was literally living with Jackie. So when Jackie says we haven't been good, I feel like this is what Jackie's thinking about. Yes, there were probably times in your childhood that we didn't have the best relationship, but I felt like we were on a good path. Because baby, I threw your baby shower. When you had that baby, you were living with us. During the Ponderosa, she was living with Jackie and Doug. And as I said, the reason she's been in LA is because her mama and her daddy was helping her to fight that custody case. Why you didn't tell them people that your mom was helping you with your custody case? Like, come on. And you won the custody battle. And then you went to Hawaii and you made your mama the villain the entire trip. And not once did you say to those people, yeah, my mom and we have our ups and downs. But she has showed up for me in a lot of ways. And I have to figure out how to deal with the things from my childhood in a better way and not have y'all rile me up to go attack my mom. This is why I'm where I am in terms of my mindset when it comes to Chantel. I feel like she's a liar when it comes to certain things. You didn't tell the ladies that you told your mom to stay out of whatever you and Brandy had going on. That was you lying by omission. You had several opportunities to tell those women the truth, that it wasn't that your mom didn't want to defend you, it was because you told her to stay out of it. A lie by omission is still a lie. To act like your mom has not been doing anything for you while you were in LA fighting this custody situation with your kid and your ex, that's also a lie by omission. To act as if you were not the favorite daughter. To act as if you haven't sat on this show and said yourself that your childhood was great. This was Chantel told Laura Gavon. She said, my childhood was great. It was my sister that had a hard time. And now you done took that girl's story and made it your story. I'm sorry, but no. That's another lie. And then when Jackie popped you in the face, you went downstairs and all you said to those women was that my mom swung on me. And so now you're on your Instagram stories, Chantel, and you're saying to the people, what you didn't see was that she touched me, so I pushed her, and then she swung. See, you're lying again. You're lying again. Let me tell you how I know you're lying again, Chantal. Because see, if you felt like it was self-defense when you pushed your mom, when you went downstairs to tell those women that she swung on you, you would have said to them, yeah, I went into the room to talk to her, and as I was leaving, she walks up to me, she touched me, I pushed her, and she swung on me. Because when you're telling the truth, you don't have to omit anything. If you feel like you're right, you don't have to omit anything. You're going to say what happened in the order that it happened. And then those women would have been like, oh my God, she touched you? Yeah, you had every right to push her. That's what they would have said. Because they were ready to ride for you no matter what you came downstairs to say to them. But because you're a little liar, in my opinion, Chantal, you led with Jackie swung on me. And you left it like that. And you made it seem like she just swung on you because you went down there to talk to her. You didn't even say to those ladies, I didn't go down there, go down to my mom's room to resolve anything. I didn't go there to try once again to have her hear me out and to hear my pain. You didn't tell those ladies that what you went down the room to do was to once again antagonize your mom and to make her feel low and to make her feel like trash because perhaps when you were a child, she made you feel that way. Okay, fine. But do you want to be antagonistic or do you want to be heard? Because you got to choose one. And if you're being antagonistic, you cannot be upset that the person you're antagonizing, the person you're disrespecting, is walking away every time and disengaging because it doesn't serve them to sit there and have somebody berate them when all they're trying to do is to understand what is going on. Hello? I'm just saying. Somebody put you through hell. I get it. But if when you ask them to come sit down so that you can tell them how you feel, and the first thing you do is say, you dirty biatch. Come on, who's gonna sit down and listen to that? Nobody. Because you're not in a courthouse. You know, like when you're in court and there's like somebody who committed like an unaliving, and the family get an opportunity to say to the person like, this is how we feel about what you did, this is how you change our lives. And if you're the person that did the unaliving, you can't leave, you can't walk away, you literally just have to stand there in the court and listen to the family just tell you how hurt they are. And sometimes the people are angry, but even if they're angry, the judge is still saying, order in the court, order in the court. Like there still has to be a level of decorum, even in the court. So your family member has been unalive and you want to curse the MFR out who unalived your family member, and the judge is telling you that you can't curse and you can't call them all everything but a child of God. Much less we are on a reality TV show and you're telling me to come sit down and listen to you attack me over and over and over again, and I'm just to sit there and just take it. No. Bad mom or not, she's still a human being and nobody's gonna sit down and listen to somebody disrespect them. What they say, you catch more flies with honey, baby. That see, that's what Chantel has to learn. That Jackie is the type of person, if you want her to sit down and listen to you, you cannot lead with disrespect. Because her inner child, the 8-year-old child who had to sit and listen to a white woman disrespect her and berate her and put mayo in her hair, that 8-year-old does not like when people talk to her in a disrespectful manner. No grown human being wants to sit and be disrespected. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. And she sees the conversation going left, and the only tool that Jackie has in her kit, in her emotional bag, is to walk away. And that's probably not always the best thing, especially if you're dealing with a child who has abandonment issues. That's probably not the best thing. But also, everybody has their own issues that they're dealing with. And if your trigger is being talked to in a certain manner, then you're not supposed to sit there and just take it. I'm sorry, you're not supposed to. If you don't want to argue with your daughter on TV and all you can do to de escalate the situation is to disengage and walk away, then you know what? Okay, do that. And everybody is throwing out these buzzwords, narcissist and toxic and, abuse and all these things. And a lot of people, they're so triggered by these words that they don't realize that at no point in time, Chantel has actually told her mom what is hurting her. It's all good and well to say she has all these childhood traumas, and every time she tries to talk to her mom walks away. No, she hasn't tried to talk to her mom. If you watch the season, it's always been, I'm going to have all these women around because the goal is to humiliate, not to heal. The goal is revenge, not resolve. The goal is to hurt, And so while Chantel is saying that she wants to talk to her mom about these deep family traumas, you want to do it in the presence of women who are ready to pounce the second you open your mouth or the second your mom opens her mouth. And that's not a great space. That's not a great space. You can't be screaming accountability, 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 but you can't say, in all honesty, that from the beginning of the season, if you felt the way that you did about your mother, then when you entered the season, that's what you should have led with. Because it would have made more sense that in episode 1, when your mom came over and she was holding your son and y'all were laughing and playing and talking about life and all those stuff, it would have made sense if you said, Mom, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that, you're with your grandson and you love him. But one of these days, Mom, I want us to go into a therapy session so that we can talk about some stuff that I've been feeling as it relates to my childhood. And if Jackie had walked out of that apartment when you said that, Chantel, then that would have told me everything that I needed to know, and I would have been on your side. And if in episode 2, when you and your mom were at that photo shoot with your son, and your mom was a doting grandma, and it was annoying you that she had all these ideas for the photo shoot and she wanted to give her input, and if you had said to her in that moment, Mom, you remember when I was modeling and I had gained some weight and you said XYZ, and it made me, ever since you said that, Mom, it made me so insecure about my weight. And you know what? I want us to go and unpack some of those things from my childhood in a therapy session. Again, Chantel, I would have been on your side. But that's not how you've dealt with the situation. It's been it's been goofy ass be this. And you're a fool and you look stupid and be this and be that and this, that, and the third. And your kids hate you and your husband's gonna leave. That's what you've led with. Even after the Vegas thing, after your mom jumped over the sofa and was trying to get at Brittany because Brittany was a disrespectful little girl. If after that had happened, you had said, Mom, the way you dealt with Brittany in that moment, it reminded me of when I was a teenager and we would get into heated arguments and you would get violent. And I just feel so triggered that I just want us to actually talk about those times. Girl, if you had said that and Jackie had walked out on you, again, I would have been on your side. But that's not what you did. You looked at your mom in that moment and you said, Are you dumb? Are you for real right now? Are you dumb? Like, girl, what? Brittany disrespected your mother because she felt like Jackie should have done more when Brandy called you a child. And you didn't tell Brittany, my mom did what she she was supposed to do based on what I asked her not to do. And you sat there and you let Brittany call your mama all kinds of bees and hoes. And when your mama finally got up and jumped over that couch and was going to put her paws on Brittany, you decided that your mom was the dumb one in the situation. And you didn't care about how it looked that you were talking to your mama all kinds of crazy in front of those other women, even though Brittany was the one who was wrong first. Jackie was wrong because, girl, you didn't have to do all that jumping over a sofa or whatever. Brittany was wrong. And maybe people would have received it better if you didn't do all of that, Jackie. But the fact is, Brittany was wrong. Brittany started it. Brittany Renner started it. And Chantel, in that moment, Brittany was more disrespectful to your mom than Brandy was disrespectful to you. And you didn't have your mama's back because you already had Brittany put the battery in your back that your mama was just no good. And you felt like that brought you back to childhood when your mama didn't defend you and you told her something and she didn't believe it. Maybe that's what it is. But you're not vocalizing that. That's not what you're saying, Chantel. And even in your statement today, it goes to, oh, the audience isn't going to bully me into submission. Nobody's trying to bully you into submission, at least not on my part, because I don't be in people's DMs or in their comments talking to them crazy. What people are going off of is what we have seen this entire season. We saw you come in being in a good space with your mom, and you decided to let Brittany Renner put a battery in your back to get you riled up into disrespecting your mom. That's what we saw. And so that's what we're talking about. And the accountability that you need to take, Chantel, is to just admit that there was a better way and that you were wrong for how you came into this show and made the choice that you were going to choose revenge over resolution. You were going to let people manipulate your emotions to the point where in every scene that you saw your mother, what you wanted to have was a confrontation instead of conflict resolution. That's the type of accountability that you should be taking. And y'all, let's stop with calling people narcissists, because the truth is all of us have narcissistic tendencies. Let's just be for real. All of us have a little bit of narcissism in us. There are just some people who are at a whole other level of narcissism. That's dangerous. But the truth is, Chantel, the woe is me that you're doing, even though you were the only one we saw being disrespectful. We, whether Jackie's been throwing rocks and hiding her hands behind the scenes, the fact of the matter is, we didn't see her disrespecting you at not one point throughout this season. And what we feel like we're seeing is a masterclass of toxicity and gaslighting from you. Because for us watching the entire season, it just didn't make sense how you walked into the season being in a great space with your mom, and that one thing that transpired in Vegas got us to this point where you got clocked in the face and now you are a forever meme. It's just not adding up. For those of us who have watched Basketball Wives since season one, and we saw the conversation that you had with Laura Gavon, and we saw the conversation that you and your mom and Takari had in therapy, and we read parts of Takari's book, and we saw your response to Takari talking about her childhood. For all of us who watch all of that happen, your story isn't adding up. It's not adding up. At least for me. When I put all the pieces together, your story does not add up, Chantal. I am sorry. And this, my father is the greatest thing walking. The greatest thing walking, but my mother is the evil bee. That does not make sense. Because if you feel so safe with your dad, then it begs the question then, have you not sat with your dad and talked to him about your childhood and talked to him about your experiences and what is his response to all this trauma that you have? That he would hear your story as your father, as the first man in your life that should protect you. He would hear everything that you have to say about your mother, but he's still with her to this day. Nothing has changed for him in his mind. This is why I'm saying it doesn't add up. When it comes to Takari, I can understand because that's not his kid. And probably he's never felt an attachment to her. Because that happens in households where you got stepchildren. Sometimes the bond never forms. So it's sad to say, but I can understand him probably not caring that much about what happened to Takari. But you are his daughter, his biological daughter, his seed. And you're telling me that you've told your dad all of this and nothing has changed between him and Jackie to the point where 2 weeks ago they renewed their vows again for their 30th anniversary. It's not adding up, Chantal. It's given your dad is just as bad, but you want to make your mom the only villain. And if that's the case, then I don't know what to tell you. But then again, I don't think your mom is the only villain. I think you just went after her because she's the only one on the show. Because from what Jackie said, nobody in the family attended your wedding. Nobody in the family was invited. Not your little brother, not your dad, and not your mom. So that means you have some something there too with your dad, but you're not talking about that. And maybe it's because he's not on the show. Maybe if he was in Hawaii, you'd have attacked him too. But what you said to Brittany Renner and Denise in the room was that your dad is just this angel walking on earth, child, but he's with a demon. Y'all make that make sense. Make that make sense. I was gonna talk about Real Housewives of Miami, Gertie, and how black women are treated in spaces where the majority of the other people are white women. But I'm gonna have to do that in another video because we're at an hour and 33 minutes. I was also gonna talk about Riley because she too being treated like ish in a space where the majority are white. I'm tired of it. But I done used up all my time talking about Jackie and her daughter. The story isn't adding up for me. Jackie is not perfect. Jackie is cuckoo. Jackie was not the best mom. She was not. I can validate that. Jackie was not the best mom. But for me, Chantal has proven herself to be a liar several times over, including that season when she was lying that she was dating Drea's boyfriend at the time, Orlando, and she wasn't. And when Drea clocked her for lying and being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, she spazzed the hell out on Drea and Orlando. In fact, Orlando was talking to Jackie crazy, and Chantel walked up to him and she was like, what you're not gonna do is talk to my mom crazy. What you're not gonna do is talk to my mom crazy. So when Jackie says, have we not had a good relationship? I think these are the things that Jackie's looking at. She's looking at the timeline, not the childhood stuff, but she's looking at the relationship that they've had since Shanta became an adult, since she became a mother. And Jackie's looking at it as we've been good. And so before the cameras, when you moved back to LA, because this is what Chantel said, she said that when my mom comes to sit down with me, I want her to take accountability for everything that has happened since I moved back to LA. She didn't say I want my mom to take accountability for everything that happened in my childhood. That's not what Chantel said. That's not what Chantel said. And she keeps saying, I want Jackie to take responsibility for the mess that she's created. The mess that Chantel keeps talking about is not the childhood stuff. She's talking about the messy things on the show. Girl, who cares? We thought your issue was childhood stuff. Why are you sitting down? And the second your mom sits down, you're saying, after when we were in Vegas, did you not talk shit about Brandy the whole time? What? This is not what I thought we were sitting down to talk about. And Jackie said to her, before we talk about these other broads, I want to talk about you and me. And Chantel was like, no, I'm asking a rhetorical no, yes or no question. Girl, what do you mean rhetorical yes or no question? That sounds dumb. Because if it's a rhetorical question, an answer is not to be expected. Oh, child. So that brings me back to what I've been saying. My instincts tell me, Chantal, you don't really got an issue with your mama. Maybe you do, but it's not as deep as you're trying to make it appear to be. There may be things there. There may be underlying issues there. There may be things that you feel hurt by. But I don't think they're as deep as you want people to believe. And that's where the dishonesty comes in for me. Because rather than just own that, yes, my mom and I, we've had a tumultuous relationship, but we've been great for several years. I'm just mad because one thing triggered me and I can actually get past that. Instead of doing that, you want to hold on to a lie. You want to hold on to a fake narrative. You want to take your sister's story and make it yours. You want to take parts of your sister's story and make it yours. And I don't like that. I don't like that. You are sitting with women who are laughing and they're excited that you're cursing your mom out. They're giddy about that. And you feel like that's healthy. Something's wrong with that, baby girl. You're sitting with people who really don't care about you. Because if they cared about you, they would say, you need to go to therapy. If your mom isn't willing to meet you halfway, you need to start taking care of yourself. If you feel like you've been chasing your mom and chasing her to have a conversation, you need to stop and go start figuring out how you can heal yourself. None of these women have asked you, what exactly did you say to your mom when she walked up? And then when you told them what you said, see, Chantel didn't even tell them when my mom walked up, I was trying to talk to her about her and Brandy. Another lie of omission. You all see the pattern of lying that I'm trying to point out? That was another lie of omission. Because you're going to these women, you're saying, yeah, I I I confronted her and I told her about herself. And they're like, yay, good for you. But the truth is, your mom sat down and you wanted to talk about Brandy, not your childhood stuff. And when she didn't want to talk about Brandy, you got disrespectful and she got up. That's what happened. That's what happened. But you went down to the room and you pretended like you were just so big and bold and you confronted your mom about everything that happened in your childhood that you wanted to talk to her about and she didn't want to hear it and she got up. That's not what happened. You wanted to talk about Brandy. She wanted to talk about your childhood stuff. You got disrespectful and your mom walked away and you continued to be disrespectful. And now your sister is out here defending your mom because your sister didn't never came on the show to hurt your mother. She came to tell her story. She got her healing and she's watching the favorite child crashing out and she's thinking to herself, all these years when they should have been, when Jackie, I think this is what Takari's thinking. Takari's thinking that when I was a child, I always wanted my mom to hold my little sister accountable for the little lies that she would tell on me to get me in trouble and to make things worse for me. And now I'm the little girl in me that always wanted to see the favorite be held accountable. I'm not watching it happen. And I'm happy. That's what I think Takari's feeling. But anyways, y'all, I think I have talked myself to death. I have so many thoughts on this. It's just like rolling around in my head. But drop down in the comment section below. Let me know how you see things too. Until my next video, please remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter now called X at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Walk good.